Welcome back to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice and digital resource. We're helping organizations survive and thrive, and we'll tell your story to our community. KC Cares is proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation.
Thank you.
And I'm Ruth Bonbiggis.
And I'm Bobby Keys.
And we're back at the Plaza Library. It's so much fun to come down here every month and see people out and about and have them watch. What are those people doing over there in that corner with those microphones?
I was telling somebody on the way down here, they were like, "Oh, you're going down to the library. You got to be quiet when you record down there." I was like, "No, they want you loud, man." Yeah. I was like, so and it's changed. It's such a cool place. They've got so many amenities. You got Wi-Fi. You got places to lounge. You got coffee, a cafe. You can live here, basically. If I could get away with it, I would.
We got rhythm. No, we have Carrie Coogan, who is Director of Public Affairs and Community Engagement. That was the voice you were hearing say.
I want to hear you go on and on and on about the library. Keep going, please. Good. This is so wonderful because you're exactly right. People don't realize, and we still hear this today, why do I need to go to the library? What's important at the library? There are so many things going on at the library that if you are not going to the library, then you are missing out on so many wonderful, great opportunities.
That's right. You're
not cool. So I can sit here for the rest of the hour and just listen to you guys continue to go on about what's happening at the library if you want.
No, we want you to tell our listeners about everything that's going on here, but under your umbrella, what is a Director of Public Affairs and Community Engagement?
Well, thank you. That's very nice. It's a very lofty title for a lot of different things, but really it just means trying to find all the wonderful ways that we can get the community involved in what's happening at the library, and not only just patrons, but partners and businesses and anybody who wants to come to the library. So we have a lot going on, most of which that people know about, particularly here at the Plaza location, but also at our central location, is our signature events public programming, which is where we bring in authors from across the nation. We do panel discussions. We've held mayoral candidate forums. We've done a lot of great topics, and we had a great year last year, which I brought some statistics from last year.
Our highlight from last year.
Yes. I don't know if you know this, but our number one so let me start with the fact that you can watch a lot of our programming on our website. So that is new. That is new because of the graciousness and the generosity of this community that paid for an increase in our levy last year. So you're finding...
Good job, Casey.
Thank you. You're finding all kinds of great things that are happening in our library system. We're making a lot of improvements to library locations, but one of the things we were able to do is hire somebody to actually videotape more of our programming so that if there's people who live too far away or they can't get down to the library, then they can watch things on our website. So the number one most watched item on our website from last year was the cast of Queer Eye. So for those of you who don't know, Queer Eye is a program that's on Netflix, and they were here for the last 2 seasons of their...
They love Kansas City.
Right?
It was so wonderful. And they had their first book come out at the Kansas City Public Library downtown.
That is cool.
We had 800 people come to that event at Central. We had people on the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, the fifth floor. It was a packed house, and we had every single one of the Fab Five there, and they did an interview, and they released their book, and it was incredible. But that just shows you the reach of the library and why there's so many important, exciting things going on in our community. So the number one most attended event of last year was actually really interesting and fun as well, and that was a book called Wide Open Town, and it was written and edited by 3 local authors, Diane Moody Burke, John Herron, and Jason Rowe, who actually works at the library. Diane Moody Burke and John Herron are both professors of history at UMKC.
Oh, it's my alma mater.
That's right. And Wide Open Town is about the Pendergast years and everything that was happening in this community then from, all of the sordid, sexy, salacious stories that you've been wanting to hear were about that book. So, and then the second most attended was Who Will Lead KC, which was a mayoral candidate forum that we had with the many candidates who were running for mayor last year.
Right, and the winner, Mayor Lucas, was actually on our show at the library.
Oh, excellent.
Which he loved, and he wants to come back.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So we'll make that happen.
He's got to spread the good word.
That's right. So that's just a taste of some of what our public programming is doing. But one of the things that we've really been trying to do with our public programming that I think is really important is including local issues, things that are really important to people in our community. So, for example, affordable housing. That has been a really big topic, as you guys probably know from your guests. But we had we had a series on affordable housing. So that brought in different panel discussions. We brought in national authors. We brought in Matthew Desmond, who wrote the book Evicted. And it really spurred a lot of conversation amongst our community. And it's through some of this kind of programming that even that was largely how a lot of the groups got together that created the KC Tenants movement. So you can see that people come and they gather and they meet and they talk, and it spurs a lot of grassroots organization and people talking about issues. The other one that we're working on is called Making a Great City series, and we brought in also national speakers for that as well. Chuck Marone, who wrote a book called Strong Towns, and Joe Minikazi, who works for Urban 3. And basically what they're talking about is the importance of incremental development. So we have these wonderful, great projects like the streetcar and the airport, all of which are wonderful, but we also need to focus in our communities on small incremental development that's already happening. So the Crossroads, Independence Avenue, places like that. And so as a result of them coming in, we had a study that was commissioned and paid for by the Kauffman Foundation that looked at what's happening exactly and happening in Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. So these conversations are important. People come, they get to be heard, their stories get to be told, and then there's movement in the community afterwards. For a lot of these community-based programs that we've been doing, we're also having roundtable discussions the following day with some community stakeholders. So we brought in some city planners, we brought in some neighborhood leaders and groups to talk about incremental development with the author or the speaker to do more of a deep dive, to try to not just bring people in to discuss the issues, but to actually try to move and create change in our community. So that's really important to me and my visions for what we do when it comes to public programming at the library.
And it's your responsibility to put all these together and create them. And how do you do that? That is a massive undertaking.
She's got a magic wand
Well,
right
I know.
there.
She's got piles of things here and stats and data and all this stuff.
Yeah. But I have a lot of help. We get people. So our library director Crosby Kemper, he has input about who we bring in. Steve Woolfolk is our director of programming. He offers suggestions. Katie Stover is our reader services director. And so we get input from other people. Also, we work with the independent bookstores in town, like Rainy Day Books. We bring in authors that way. And then we also just reach out with community groups. So we've worked with a lot of businesses and corporations to talk to them about, if we're bringing in a speaker on incremental development, there might be a real estate business or a architecture firm like Gould Evans we've worked really closely with, and they help raise money to create sponsorships to bring in these speakers, because many times speakers have a high dollar amount. There's a speaking fee. There's an honorarium that's excessive that the library cannot pay. So we have to get help and funding for that as well. I also do want to mention Kauffman very quickly, because Kauffman has been and continues to be a huge supporter of the library and funds a lot of the speakers that we bring in. So we couldn't do it without the Kauffman Foundation. So wanted to make sure and say that for sure.
Thank you, Kauffman. We need to have like a trumpet sounder for them and just break the, because they help so much. They're such a generous organization, foundations.
I think we need to get some statement of Ewing Kauffman that's profound. Just drop that in on occasion to remind us.
Well, he was a huge library supporter, and he frequented the Westport Library quite a bit. And then as part of his illness, he was bedridden for, I don't know the exact time.
Quite a while.
I know, enough just to be dangerous, but I know that family members would bring him books from the Westport Library. So he's got a long history of helping libraries.
That's very cool.
But there's a couple of other quick things I wanted to tell you about that are new and interesting.
We'd love to hear about it.
One is, this one I think is really exciting, and it's called Writers for Readers. It's a partnership. Writers for Readers is actually a yearly event that we do with UMKC, and what it is a fundraiser. And this past year, it was in November, and it was a conversation with Kevin Wilmot, who you know from Black Klansman.
I was in a play. He directed a play that I was in.
Oh, that's excellent.
You never told me that.
Yeah, at the Coterie, Buffalo.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. He's got a long list of things that he's done, and he's incredible. And he's spoken at the library before. He's wonderful, down to earth. We had him in conversation with Mitch Bryan and Whitney Terrell, both who are local professors and nationally known for their work in film, and Whitney Terrell's a novelist. But we brought them together because what we're doing is a partnership between the library and UMKC, where we're raising money to provide an internship for a UMKC creative writing student who will then come and work 20 hours a week at the library for a year. So it'll be a UMKC creative writing student who will work at the library. And what that student is going to be working on is what's the most exciting.
Yeah,
and that is,
I was curious.
The student is going to be offering free classes on writing, business writing, and poetry at our branches.
Oh, wow.
Open and free to the public. And then we're also going to be working on a Kansas City Book Award, which we don't have a book award here. So like a nationally known book award that we will have, and it will come out of the Kansas City Public Library, but in conjunction with universities and other institutions that want to be a part of that. And then the 3-year plan is that we're going to do a citywide book festival in Kansas City.
Oh, that's great.
There we
It's
go.
been tried before. They tried one back in 2007, and it was successful, but then it just kind of fell through the cracks. Nobody was really leading the charge. But this time, we've got a large interest. People are super excited. The library's behind it. UMKC's behind it. The Missouri Humanities Council is behind it. So that is in the future, but that is the whole fundraising structure for what we want to try to do. And really, it's to try to raise the importance of the literary ecosystem in our community.
Yeah.
We care, and we have a strong base of writers and readers here. We just need to continue to do more to foster that and keep it going. So it's really important to the library. It's important to me, and I think this community really cares about it. And so I think we need to find ways to keep pushing that.
I like that because, people have failed to realize they're at, over the last 10 years, I've seen, Kansas City grow from a creative standpoint, but it's like, people don't realize how many creative people there are in Kansas City. We have a huge and rich history of creativity, from music, art, reading.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, exactly. Walt Disney.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nice to see that. I mean, it's awesome to see, it's awesome to see the community behind it now, because what I've seen in the past, a lot of events like the book festival, and even down to the Rhythm and Blues Festival, have failed, right? And I think it's because of poorly promoted, but also there wasn't the energy for the community.
Commitment.
Exactly. And to get energy, and the commitment, and get the Kansas City behind it. But now you have that. You have the people who are interested. You have the people who know, how to actually execute events and put on, I could ramble on all day, but it's so cool to see that happening now, and to see people realize that and have opportunities and programs to expand on that.
Thank you for saying that, because I think you're exactly right. And there's a lot of people that want to be involved in this. And I think that anything that if you guys want to be a part of it, we certainly want you to be a part of it. So it's really just in the very, very beginning stages as we plan the book festival. But I think you're right, having people lead it. And the other thing is, if you hear voices in the community, and there's a lot of talk about very important things like STEM and entrepreneurship and tech startups, all of those things, workforce readiness, we work on all of those things as well, and they're very important. But it is also important to continue to read and to write, and all of us have a creative writer in us. All of us have a poem in us somewhere. So I think offering those kinds of opportunities to people maybe who wouldn't ever get the chance at a library branch, and that just doesn't mean somebody who doesn't consider it an interest, but anybody. It can be young people, it can be older people. We held a open poetry class last year, and it was during the day around lunchtime, and we said, come write a sonnet with a poet who we had brought in. We didn't know what would happen. We didn't know if anybody would come. We had 55 people sign up to come.
That's amazing.
To the Plaza Library right here and learn how to write a sonnet.
That's
And
awesome.
that was free?
Free and open to the public.
That's
So that's
awesome.
what we want to be able to do, is offer more of those kinds of opportunities.
Now,
for
are
people.
most of these programs free?
All of these programs are free. The only
did
one
you hear
that-
that, everybody? Most of these programs are free.
I just want to be clear. The Writers for Readers that we hold once a year, so it'll be this coming year in November, that does have a cost, because that helps fund the student
your
that I mentioned.
fundraiser, right.
But all of our other programs and services are free at the library. So there's never a cost to anything. That's what we do.
And you can be from across the state line.
Yeah, you can. You can get a library card and be from.
So don't think if you live out in Johnson or Wyandotte County or somewhere that you can't. You can come take advantage of all these things.
So the writing for readers, just out of curiosity, writing for readers is that's just there's a difference. Writing for speaking, because that's what I did. My writing's horrible. But is that why you're like, people have, you want to get back to the basics of writing? You want to help people understand, the things that we're getting sloppy with today's technology, or is that just a name? No, that's just out of curiosity.
Well, the name of the event is called Writers for Readers, so that was just kind of a cute, catchy name that we liked.
Oh, okay.
But the classes that are going to be offered are creative writing and then business writing.
Business writing is still very important.
Right. And so that's something that even if you, let's say that you're majoring in chemistry or you're majoring in accounting, you still need to be able to write up a proposal, or you need to be able to write a description of what you want, what you're going to talk about to a group, or a PowerPoint or a deck, slides, anything. So we want to be able to offer that to people as well.
I love that.
And so that student that will be funded through Writers for Readers will teach those classes.
Yeah, so that they'll be free to the public. So that's so great. We're excited about that. A couple of other quick things while I have you, if you don't mind. Coming up in February, we have our Kansas City Black History. So this year marks the 50th anniversary of Black History Month. And so every year we do it's a calendar, week-long commemorative, and so I brought you a sample of what you'll see. But
that's cool.
This is going to be at all of our branches coming out in February, and we do this in conjunction with Link. And so this has been a partnership, and really what we're doing is just highlighting, important historical African Americans and their contribution to our community, which there are many. So that's why we've been doing this for so many years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a sample of this.
That's pretty cool.
And then the other thing that's really interesting. So everybody's celebrating and honoring the 19th Amendment this year, the women's right to vote.
I was going to say, remind everybody what the 19th Amendment is.
Yeah, so
in
women's
case you don't have your Constitution.
It's the right for women to be able to vote. So we're doing some programming throughout the year in conjunction with that. But also, one of our staff members who works in the Missouri Valley Special Collections Room, which is down at the Central Library, which if you have not been there, you should absolutely go there. Fantastic way to look at all kinds of history about Kansas City and our region. But Joanna Marsh has created the second of which is Women in KC History coloring book. So
that's cool.
It's really amazing. And what it does is highlights women of Kansas City from hundreds of years and hundreds of years ago, actually, and then, but it's made into a coloring book. So we disperse it out to schools and people in the community, and that will be available also in February at our branches. So just wanted you to know about it.
So if you don't go to the Central Library, and let's say you pop in here at the plaza or somewhere else, and you want to have that coloring book, is there a way to get it?
It'll be at all of our branches.
Oh, it'll be everywhere.
And we should have more information on our website, so you can check it out there as well, kclibrary.org.
In all the things that you've talked about, I think one of the most exciting for us, being the nonprofit digital voice, is that you're partnering with other nonprofits.
Right.
And pulling them in to your success and your great ideas. What's it like to work with other
we couldn't do it without all of the other partners that we have. I like to call the library the silent giant because we're involved with so many different partners and other nonprofits to do so much work in this community, but we really couldn't do what we do without all of the other community partners who are doing the work that you do, including you guys. So thank you for the work that you do, and really
we love being here.
It's a collaboration for all of us.
Well, thank you.
Where is the best place for people to find out about all this? Website, Facebook? I mean, where?
Yeah, both. Our website, we have a great Twitter following too, so you can follow us on Twitter, and then the website is kclibrary.org.
And just put in there where to follow it. Carrie, you have been great.
So much.
You've got to come back.
I will. Yeah, I would love to come back.
We can't wait to have you. And remember, it's the Kansas City Library. Check it out. It's free.
Good stuff.